That's 2 different currencies. She smiled faintly. Mother traded in both. They fell silent again. Through the glass wall they could see the corridor. People arriving for appointments about divorces and leases and unpaid loans, ordinary tragedies that didn't have incense. For a moment, Eunjung envied their simplicity. At least they knew what they were fighting for. By noon, the others arrived. Sujin carried 2 coffees she didn't drink. Chelsu brought a new flash drive. The lawyer appeared last, slightly surprised to find them already gathered like jurors who had recalled themselves. "You've come early," he said. "We need to make a copy," Eunjung replied, "so it doesn't get lost." He nodded. "Of course. But be aware a recording alone rarely satisfies inheritance requirements." "We know," Myung-ho said. "It's not about that anymore." The lawyer connected the phone to his computer, the waveform blooming across the monitor peaks and valleys of a voice that once commanded 6 children and 3 houses. On the screen it looked like mountains, but when the speaker began, it was a valley. "My children house 1, Eunjung house 2, Myung-ho house 3, together. The repetition caught. She had said the word twice, maybe 3 times, her tone weakening but her intent doubling. "Can you slow it down?" Sujin asked. The lawyer adjusted the speed. The voice stretched, yet firm. Underneath the main recording, a smaller sound emerged, scratching, like paper being moved. Then a whisper that wasn't oxygen. "In drawer." They looked at each other. "In drawer?" Chelsu repeated. "What drawer?" Eunjung's heart began to race. Her mother's dresser, maybe. The one she hadn't emptied yet. The lawyer paused. Playback. "Could be background noise or instructions," Sujin said. Eunjung rose. "I'm going to the house." Myung-ho stood too. "I'm coming." "No lawyers this time," she said. "Fine." The lawyer unplugged the device, handed it back carefully, as if returning a relic. "Please handle it gently. Sometimes evidence breaks before truth does." The old apartment smelled of dust and citrus cleaner. Sunlight pooled on the wooden floor where once a rug had been. Eunjung slipped off her shoes automatically. Grief had not made her forget manners. The drawer revealed itself slowly, a stubborn old cabinet beside the bed, its handle wrapped with a blue ribbon to keep it from rattling. Inside receipts, a broken comb, photographs from years, when film still remembered colour correctly. And at the back, an envelope, yellow and thick. Her hands trembled as she opened them. Inside were 2 items, a handwritten note and a small cassette tape labelled 4 after. Myung-ho took the tape as though it might burn. "No one uses these anymore," he murmured. "But she did," Eunjung said. "Of course she did." They found an old portable player in the closet, beside the winter blankets. The batteries still worked, their mother's thrift extended even to time. Myung-ho pressed play. The tape hissed, then the same voice, steadier this time, recorded months earlier. "Perhaps before the hospital, before machines. If you're listening, it means I couldn't finish everything. The houses are 3 shadows, each show where the sun once was. Don't argue over the shadows. One house is for Myung-ho's boy. Yes, the boy. I know about him. Love is not a secret. One house for the others to share. One house for those without houses. You'll know what I mean." The tape clicked off. For a moment the room felt crowded, as if their mother had stepped through the wall just to watch their faces. Eunjung covered her mouth. Myung-ho sat down hard on the edge of the bed. "She knew," he whispered. "She knew everything." "Yes," Eunjung said. "And she forgave you before you asked." He looked at her, eyes wet but defiant. "Do you think the others will?" "Not right away, but they will. Because she asked us to." They sat in silence, 2 survivors of the same love. Outside, children's voices rose from the playground. Even grief respects recess. That evening, the family gathered. Again, no suits, no documents, just faces trying to find softness. The cassette lay on the table between bowls of tangerines. Chelsu connected it to a small speaker, and their mother's voice filled the living room once more. "Don't argue over the shadows." When it ended, no one spoke first. Then Sujin reached for Myung-ho's hand. It was not forgiveness yet, but it was direction. "She was smarter than us all," she said. "She still is," Eunjung replied. Myung-ho nodded slowly. "I'll find the boy. Sojun, bring him here. He deserves to hear her voice too." The siblings agreed. In that small circle of consent, something like the old warmth returned, the kind that lived in kitchens and smelled of sesame oil and winter. Eunjung looked around the room, at the peeling wallpaper, the clock that had stopped the day their mother entered the hospital, the shadow each of them cast under the single lamp. For the first time, those shadows did not compete. They overlapped, making a single, darker, one that looked, if you squinted, like family. The cassette had stopped an hour ago, yet her voice refused to leave the room. It lingered in the wallpaper, in the kettle's thin whistle, in the hesitant rhythm of 6 breathing adults who could not yet call themselves orphan. Even the walls seemed to hum. Don't argue over the shadows. Eunjung turned the cassette over in her hands. The label her mother's square handwriting had started to smudge under her thumb. She placed it gently on the table again. Across from her, Sujin was peeling a tangerine with scientific precision, piling the peels in the shape of a small orange snake. The others watched as if the act might reveal a solution. She meant it literally, Sujin said suddenly. 1 house for those without houses. We could donate it, make a foundation in her name. Her voice trembled between generosity and the need to be right. Or she meant it poetically, Myung-ho said. She spoke in riddles when she was tired. She was never tired of meaning, Eunjung replied. Every word was chosen. The argument, thin at first, began to thicken like steam that refuses to vanish even with the window open. Jinguk, who rarely spoke, finally leaned forward. Let's write down exactly what she said. Not what we think she said. Just the words. Cholsu nodded and fetched a notepad. On the page he wrote in the careful block letters of a man afraid of errors. 1 house for Myung-ho's boy. 1 house to share. 1 house for those without houses. He set the pen down. The words looked smaller on paper, as if language could not hold the weight of their consequences. Who is those without houses? Young-hee asked. People in need, Eunjung said. Which people? Where do we start? If we sell the 3rd house, who decides? No one answered. The questions multiplied faster than answers could be born. Myung-ho rubbed his temples. Before we build memorial charity, can we please discuss the first line? For my boy. You all have questions, so ask. He said it bravely, but his voice frayed around the edges. Sujin's gaze sharpened. Then ask we will. Who is he? Does he know you? He knows who I am, Myung-ho said. He doesn't know who we are. Eunjung reached across the table, not to comfort, but to steady the conversation. How old is he? 19. Maybe 20 now. He was born before I married Mina. His mother left the country. I didn't tell anyone. He looked at them each in turn. Mother found out years later. She found him. She helped him. She kept him. The confession landed softly and still somehow shattered the air. Outside, a bus passed with its brakes hissing a sound of disbelief. She kept him, Cholsu asked quietly. Helped pay for school. Visited him sometimes. I think she told herself she was atoning for me. Eunjung tried to picture it their mother, in her old cardigan, crossing town, with lunchboxes, knocking on a stranger's door that wasn't a stranger after all. The image felt so perfectly her that tears came uninvited. Sujin spoke after a long silence. So that's why she always disappeared on Saturdays. Her tone was not angry. It was the kind of wonder people use when a puzzle finally clicks. Yes, Myung-ho said. She said she was helping at the welfare centre. I let her keep the lie, because it was kind. And now she wants him to have a house, Young-hee said. Does he even want it? I don't know, he admitted. He barely speaks to me. Eunjung looked at the tape again. He deserves to decide. We owe him that much. That night, the siblings drifted to their respective homes, but none really left. Messages bounced through their phones, short, unfinished sentences that never learned to rest. We can't just hand over a property. Mother said so. He's still a stranger. Then let's meet him. Around midnight, Eunjung opened her mother's old notebook again. Between the pages, she found a folded letter addressed in careful script. To Sojun, from Grandma. She read it aloud to silence. You are not my son, but my heart doesn't know that. When I make soup, I count 7 bowls, not 6. When I pray, I ask that you never be lonely, even if my children forget your name. When I am gone, remember, family is not decided by papers, but by who waits for you when you are late. Eunjung pressed the letter to her chest. 7 bowls. Their mother had already counted him. She took a photograph of the letter and sent it to the family group chat. No words attached. Only the image. Within minutes, a string of ellipses appeared typing, stopping, starting again, then silence. No one knew what to say to a ghost who wrote better than they spoke.